Okay, so in this part of the lesson, I've dotted down the heading in red there, VAT periods, and subheaders. I've got category on this side, then I've got a VAT cycle over here, then I've got a turnover over there. Okay, so basically now I'm going to start with category A and category B. I'm going to do all of these at the same time because there's a lot of similarity between the two. So category A, category B. The VAT cycle between category A and B is that all of these actually make their VAT returns every 2 months. They make their VAT returns every 2 months. The only difference is that with category A, they make their VAT returns from January, March, May, July, and so forth. So it's every odd month, but 2 months basically. So it's dual months. And with your category B, they make their submissions at the end of Feb or April or June, and it go on to say August, October, December, and so forth, because this is in a 12-month cycle. For all of these categories, it's made. The actual comparison is made on a yearly time frame. So that is the actual difference between your category A and B so far. But however, they make their submissions every 2 months, as I've just elaborated. So the turnover that these guys need to have within that mix to be falling within these two categories is that they both need to have a turnover of 30 million rands. 30 million rands needs to be a turnover. It needs to be less than 30 million rands or equals to 30 million rands for both of these guys, including your category B VAT rand as well. They also need a turnover of 30 million rands. 30 million rands, basically. And that's basically done with your category B VAT vendor. Moving over to a category C VAT vendor, they make their returns monthly, not like your category A or B. They make their VAT returns monthly, so January, Feb, and so forth. And for these guys, their actual turnover would rather have to be more than 30 million rands. So if they're making a turnover of more than 30 million rands, these guys would have to be registered within the category of your category C VAT vendors, and they make their returns monthly. And then we move over to a category D VAT vendor. The category D VAT vendor, in most cases, these guys tend to be farmers, right? And their actual submissions are actually end of February, it's twice a year, or end of August. Okay, and they must either be making a turnover less than or equals to 1.5 million rands. So if they fall within this category and they happen to be farmers, then they must definitely be registered within that category D VAT vendor. And they can also be included within your category A and B. It's really up to them as well. Even within this period, they can also be included because they are well within that less than 30 million rands. So it will be up to the actual farmers. However, they are mostly recognized within category D. We're just trying to elaborate to you that they are well within their rights because they are still within that less than 30 million rands turnover as well. And with your category E, these guys are basically, mostly it's like a holder and a sub relationship, where there's like connected person relationship, you know, that kind of stuff, where there would likely be management fees and rentals and so forth. Rentals, you know. So with this one, they have to, they make submissions just once annually. It's just once annually, basically, a submission, and they have to apply to SARS. They apply for it. They don't just choose to be in it. They have to apply to SARS for that, and there's no specific turnover amount, and that's basically what these VAT periods are all about. And just be aware, with all these turnover amounts, they must be exclusive of VAT amounts. Exclusive of VAT amounts, basically. Exclusive of VAT amounts when we're making these actual comparisons. Okay, so exclusive of VAT amounts, and that's basically what we have so far as VAT periods, which would likely deem VAT vendors to be falling within a particular VAT period, a particular VAT category, and that's what there is to it. So if somebody is a category A VAT vendor, that particular person may be transacted in the month of January, that would likely mean to say that that transaction will fall in the January VAT return. So he transacted in January, so that would mean that that transaction took place within the January VAT return, right? And so far as the submission, you then have to include that in his VAT 201 VAT return, which has to be submitted over to SARS the following month of February before the 25th. Is if he's making use of e-filing, he must make his submission before the last business day, and if he makes submissions any later than obvious days, there would be penalties of 10% of what he was meant to pay over, and that would be on a compounding interest as well. And those are obviously the requirements that we have also been told about in your undergrad, but that's basically the principle. So I'm just basically making that example with a transaction having taken place in January, and it's a category A VAT vendor. So it's very important because it helps you in having to understand the grips of timing of the actual transactions that would have obviously taken place in January in this instance, that would obviously have to be submitted over before the 25th day of the next month, which would have been February, through a VAT 201 VAT return. And that's basically where we are. So it's a very important principle to basically keep in the back of your mind, VAT periods, because one way or another a particular VAT vendor will have to fit into one of these 5 categories, and that's basically where we are. I hope it kind of like, you know, puts you at, you know, a point of comfort in having to at least understand the basics that we're just building on. All right.